Hi, welcome to the Sifu Mimi Chan Show. Thanks for joining the conversation. Oscar and I discuss the habits that hold up during busy or stressful seasons. Having just celebrated our 19th wedding anniversary, we also talk about relationships. As we gear up for another busy holiday season, we share our best practices and commitments for staying healthy, both mentally and physically. I've been enjoying these conversations and hope you have too. If you have, please rate my podcast on your platform of choice and share it with others. If you would like to support with a donation to help keep this podcast going and support the work I do, you can become a patron of the show by visiting my website or patreon.com/SifuMimiChan. For comments or suggestions, reach out on social media at SifuMimiChan. Now, on with the show. Hello, Oscar.
Hello, Mimi.
So we just celebrated our 19th wedding anniversary recently, and we shared a video of us jumping off a cliff.
We did. We shared it.
For our patrons, they actually got to see that like right after we got back from our trip a year ago. But it just reminded me like, oh, we are in November. It's go time. We are preparing for our holiday shows at the theme parks. We also have CNY prep, so Lunar New Year is around the corner. It gets to be very hectic. So while there is, of course, that thing that everybody else celebrates, which is Thanksgiving and Christmas and New Year's, for us, we're really intentional about seasons in Walam, and this season happens to be huge show prep in addition to the ongoing shows. So it's a hectic time for everybody. Everyone gets like super stressed around the holidays, and everybody kind of puts themselves, I don't want to say second, but like a lot of things go on the back burner in order to just accommodate that which is this quote unquote holiday season.
Is that what you're doing?
What?
Putting yourself second?
Well, I'm trying to be more intentional about it, which is why I thought we would talk about it today, because this is, these MiOsc episodes are kind of work in progress, meaning we are working on being in progress. We by no means are trying to be like, everyone follow our amazing example and lead. We have life figured out. But I feel like it's been nice to get a lot of feedback from listeners regarding hearing our liturgical journeys and the different things that we are working on or our work in progress, and that it resonates with them. And so I thought this would be kind of an interesting share, because from a fitness standpoint, you've always done these kind of newsletters or blogs or things like that regarding like, oh, during the holidays, there is a tendency to overeat or make bad choices. And then for us, we're always kind of thinking about, okay, it's time to do the clean out. We've got to go through and organize ourselves. And then, we have visitors in town. Like there is a lot happening. And I thought it would be interesting to kind of just quickly talk about how we cope.
I mean, it's kind of easy for me to cope because of my personality. It's just a coping style. That's just how I am.
Must be nice.
Yeah. If you're not like me, which, you try not to let too many things bother you, right? But let's say that you're a normal person.
Okay.
Right? Obviously, I could be institutionalized for my strangeness. So I do realize that. But there's a time of year, towards the end of the year, in my experience, is always a great time to reflect on how the year has gone so far. So I'm not very good at daily. I have been in the past, but in the past, maybe this year, I haven't been as good about daily reflecting. Hey, how did this day go? There was a time when we did those 5-minute journals.
Yeah.
And the 5-minute journals had us kind of reflect on the day, even if it's just for a minute. I think that's a great practice to have. But when you see a new year on the horizon, it's just instinctual to reflect, to do two things. Either reflect on the year that's behind you, or to say, all right, here's what I'm going to start doing next year. And I don't know if that's the best thing to do, because a great thing would be to just be happy in the present, right? But it's just not possible. And I think in order to be happy, sometimes a little reflection or a little bit of planning can help.
I feel like for many of us, a big challenge is as there are events in life that are out of the regular quote unquote routine, I would imagine for those of us who have like biological children or adopted children, people that they care for on a regular basis, like back to school. Oh my God, that's a crazy time. Or right when summer gets put in and you're trying to figure out what to do with your kids, like people who have children that they have to, have that routine. They love it when they're in school. This is what parents at Kung Fu tell me because they know where their kids are, they know what's happening. There's like a pattern. And then during these pockets of times where things are radically different and your schedule gets, all these random things that are planned but unexpected. Like we know back to school is coming, we know Christmas is coming, we know Thanksgiving is coming, but with that comes a couple days off, or people who aren't maybe, I guess at certain points of the time, they're like, oh, this company shuts down the last 2 weeks. You can't get anything done. You better make sure you call ahead of time. So for us, anytime there's something out of the ordinary, or in our case, like, oh, we may have to see family on certain days or have these Wallam events for our instructors and all of that, it can throw us off. And I feel like the tendency can be you know what, I had this goal, it's already November, I'll just wait until next year. But I feel like it's such a missed opportunity, and I'm speaking about myself as well, to go, wait, I still have 5 weeks of good, precious time which we cannot get back, of 5 weeks that it's not like every day there's a holiday event happening for the next 5 weeks. So I think if we can kind of reframe, or personally, I need to reframe a lot of times and go, wait, all right, week by week, being in the present versus like just being overwhelmed with a lot of what happens in the holidays. And again, to be fair, Oscar's personality is very chill, but he also does 0 Christmas shopping, 0 food prep for said events, 0 scheduling for said events. Like it's like he has his Google Calendar that has when he has classes. Otherwise, I have to do all of that. So I think the tendency is for those of us in my role, it can be very overwhelming.
Oh yeah. I mean, if you're the person in charge, it's like you say all the time, oh, people aren't as considerate if they've never hosted. Like people aren't super considerate guests if they've never hosted.
Yeah. RSVP means freaking respond before the deadline, everybody. Like there's a deadline because that's the last day we can know, but to respond just right at the end is still pretty annoying from one that hosts, FYI.
Right. And so the thing about, I guess for me, it's something that, again, we've also talked about, which is we've made our choices. So I've made my choices and it's made my life very easy in certain ways. But for other people who didn't have my personality, I bet you it would be very challenging. Right?
Yeah.
So it's kind of like, it's just the way it is. The important thing that I think almost everybody needs to realize is going to sound harsh. So I'm going to start off by saying that it might sound harsh, is that no matter what you have going on, unless it's like husband, wife, like we're here, we're like right on top of each other, right? So everything that happens to you, I feel like it happens to me and vice versa. But other than that, like super tight knit side, anything that is happening to you, no matter how crazy it is, people may have compassion, they may have empathy, but deep down, they don't really care because everyone has their own thing going on.
Yes.
So yes. I say that with the utmost respect to everyone out there. You can have a conversation with someone that you love and you're like, oh, okay, I'm so sorry that you're going through that. But you may feel worse when you get a paper cut.
Okay, so I would actually challenge this and be like, it's not that people don't care, it's that people don't care as much as they do about themselves.
Yes. I mean, that's basically what I'm saying. Mm-hmm. That's basically what I'm saying, is no one's going to care
and
more.
And that's human nature.
Right.
We're not going to judge and say that's a bad thing. It's just more like that's the way it is. But I think as a highly empathetic person, I mean, I consider myself pretty empathetic. I feel like a lot of times I do I have in the past put others' needs ahead of mine.
Yes, you still do, not just in the past. So that's just how you are. So there's two ways to go about talking about busy times, hectic times. Holidays are just busy. I mean, I was having a conversation with my mom, who's like a nervous driver, and she's like, I'm not driving this week for the next week. You know why? Everyone's just thinking about shopping. She's like, I know myself, so I'm going to stay away from the roads, right?
Yeah.
So it is kind of there's excitement and there's also a little bit of anxiety, and then there's also all the pressures. So all that happens and things can go by the wayside. So when you think about your health, your entire health, as you want it to be multidimensional, not just your physical health, but your mental health, your social health. Sometimes you can't be exceeding in all of it all at once, right? You can't have it perfect health and then really busy and be visiting all your family all the time. So a little bit of something you talk about a lot of the gratitude is helpful here, where you're like, man, I haven't been able to work out, but I'm meeting up with friends of mine that I haven't seen in a long time, and there's a lot of benefit to that. Or, I didn't eat the best way that I could. However, we had this great meal with a bunch of people together, right? So there's always a little bit of moment of that. One article that or blog post that I'm starting to write, I started looking at it and I was like, oh, this is on my queue of to do. So, which is kind of impression of like how to maximize when you're running on fumes. So if you're physically and mentally drained from I was catering this blog post to, if you have a busy day job, but I guess it's a busy time of year. Number one, skipping your training session entirely. You shouldn't do that. 15 to 20 minutes of movement is greater than just skipping it entirely. I would even say 1 to 5 minutes is greater, because you may just get a mental boost just by saying, hey, you know what? I did something. Stick with very simple full body exercises. You don't have to go through, I'm only going to do biceps. You could just do some squats, or for us, it could be, Kung Fu related, or maybe some body weight motion, or we talk about our basics all the time. You can just a shortened version of that. Save very complex stuff for when your brain is kind of firing a little bit more, when you have more time. And then this is something that has been successful for me, is just start. And if you still feel drained after starting for a minute, then you're like, you know what? It's not my day. But if you have it on your calendar and you say, you know what? I have 20 minutes, and you just start, you might be surprised of what you can accomplish.
Yeah.
So that's one way. That's kind of like the blog post that I was starting. But then I have these notes, Stay Healthy During Distracting Times, by one of my favorite authors, Cal Newport.
Oh, deep work.
6 things that he wrote.
Okay.
And I just put this as a note, and then I'll explain it. But he said, here are 6 things that you can do now to maintain some focus and cognitive health. So the first thing I talked about was your physical health. Now let's talk about your mental focus, your cognitive health. 1, go on newspaper mode. What he means by that is consume your information in the way that we used to, which is you would get a daily newspaper and you would sit down and read it. And then after you read a couple of things, that's it. You're not really getting the news anymore, or bombarded by information. So during, whenever this is released to the end of the year or whatever, think about that. Maybe going on newspaper mode. You don't have to be on top of every single major announcement. Number 2, move up the information food chain. So the type of information that you get, try to make it higher quality. This can also be related to your nutrition, right? You're like, man, I don't have time to make this great meal. Okay, I'm going to prioritize my vegetables and my protein. So in the same way that's highly nutritious, think of how the information that you're consuming, you can make it more nutritious. A great example is you took some time a couple weeks ago and read The Martian, the actual book, right? Which you love, I know you love, is probably better than consuming short little snippets of Instagram reels, right? Number 3, seek flow states, which I think we try to do with our Kung Fu and Tai Chi practice, but this is going to be different for everybody. So one way you can seek a flow state is you can just go for a walk. So if you don't practice Kung Fu or Tai Chi, you could say, you know what? I'm going to take, instead of like these next 5 minutes of like, I'm going to just walk outside and then come right back in. So that's a great way to seek a flow state. Number 4, you can do what he calls implementing a hard day protocol, which means looking at the calendar and saying, okay, on this day, I'm going to focus on my difficult things, but then on the next day, maybe give it easier. I believe that's what he meant because I just wrote this down and I don't remember the exact. How would you define that? Implement a hard day protocol.
A hard day protocol, meaning like if something's going to be like a full day.
Yeah. I mean, I think you define it however you want.
Well, for me, I think I just prioritize.
Yeah, there you go. Okay. I think obviously you're a very organized person, so prioritizing is huge. The way I look at implement a hard day protocol is actually that's exactly how I would define it. Is you look at the day and say, I'm only going to focus on the big rocks right now.
Yeah.
And that means everything else. I think it was Warren Buffett who said, all right, write down all of your goals. And let's say you have like 100 things. All right, eliminate 95 of them and just focus on those 5. You're going to be successful. So yeah, I think you're on the right path there.
That's how I get shit done.
Number 5, take breaks from your phone. Probably the hardest thing because if the phone is there, man, it's just calling us all the
It's
time.
like beeping.
Yeah.
And
And
doing
number
all the
6,
sounds.
start working on something that's delightful. Take it away, Mimi. What are you working on that's delightful?
This is kind of like a confusing topic for me because on one hand, I really love working on Patreon content because it makes me feel good to be able to give back to those who are giving a little bit extra, not just like listeners and people who like giving me thumbs up on social. I feel really moved that people support me so greatly. They actually donate to this project of mine monthly, whether it's the podcast or just knowing like I'm doing advocacy work and they just want to support all of these different things. And so, but at the same time, it's like work, right? So I love creating content that is specifically for my Patreons, but at the same time, I'm like a little overwhelmed. So I have kind of a I have a love-stress relationship with that. But in terms of like enjoyable things, I feel like once I can take the moment to offload what I consider tasks and just be able to sit and be and enjoy, maybe it's a good conversation with someone I enjoy, maybe it's just us sitting down for like 20 minutes of a TV show we like, and just being able to work on something that brings me joy versus like, okay, I gotta get this, these invoices out or that type of thing. I think I do. Once I sit and get into it, like whether it's a creative project I'm working on, like I do enjoy those.
So my question though is, do you have time set aside where you're like, I am just going to work on something creative? My assumption, and I could be wrong, is that you set aside that time, but as soon as you sit down, you're like, but I got to get these other things checked out first.
Correct. That happens to me all the time.
Yeah. So could you think of Patreon posts again? Yes, that is nice because you're giving extra content, but it is technically work.
Yes,
right?
Yes.
Because it's not like they're paying you for that, but they're paying to support what your endeavors are. But one way to look at it is they're paying you for those posts. So yes, that is work. So what's a real? See, this is the challenge with Sifu Mimi Chan. Even her thinking about what is delightful, her first thought is like, well, what's the most efficient thing that I can do that's delightful? I'll tell you what my thing is all the time. It's always thinking of working on something for myself, for my own personal goals. Mm-hmm. The thing that's delightful about it, or the thing that makes it like it doesn't really matter, is that I looked at maybe 11 years of journals recently.
Yes.
Because we were cleaning out. And every time around this time of year, and even maybe every few months, I start writing out goals. This time, that's it. I'm going to get my splits, or I'm going to get this strength goal, or I'm going to get this, and all the goals that I've written out. I don't think I've accomplished any of them. But it's been a delight trying to accomplish them. Okay? Like, I enjoy the process of like, well, I'm going to try to do this thing. I get distracted. I have like exercise ADDs, right? So I start doing all these different things and don't hyper focus. But I do enjoy the journey.
So
then, okay, but here's how I want to end this little part here. I was like, man, journaling, making goals, not achieving any of them. except one that gets repeated all the time. I have a great life. Mimi and I have a great life. I'm very happy. Like that is my life. Like, so,
We win at life.
so I win there, and I fail at almost every other goal that like, I'm going to read all these books. I haven't read them all. I'm going to get my splits. I'm like, what did I show you the other day? It was 10 yoga blocks high. It's
Chachima
ridiculous.
or Batima.
It's like a house, like a triangle. I'm going to pass this cert and press half my body weight. I haven't done it, right? So this is what I'm saying is like, I need you to start thinking about what is delightful for you, not what is the most efficient way to be delightful.
So this makes me a little bit sad because I'm like, what do I enjoy? So when you and I just got back from our trip and we had podcasted from the ship, like that's delightful. Like looking forward to those things are delightful. But when you're talking like day to day, it just seems like it's hard for me to even unwind. Like I love to get our massages that we get every couple of weeks. But even while I'm on the table, I'm like, when is this going to be done? I have stuff to do. Like it takes me an hour to wind down to where I'm finally enjoying it and then it's over. So
It's a problem.
I got problems. But I will say that if I really find like that I've gone on my 24-hour of staying away, like over the weekend on a Sunday, I'll say I'm not opening my laptop. I usually am a happier person, and I have to kind of go through this mental argument with myself on, hey, if I didn't get any quote unquote work done or check things off my task list, does that make me lazy? Or does it make me unproductive? And it's actually a therapy exercise that my therapist is like, you actually need to set aside time to do just that. And so if I do that and I can actually enjoy it, I do find that delightful. If I can actually relax and not have opened or done anything that has to do with a task-oriented thing, I feel like it's a success. Like, it's interesting because some people are like, I love baking and I feel so relaxed when I do it. I am not that way. Like, I love the result of my cooking. I love the result of my planning. I love the result of, but I don't actually enjoy or delight in any of those processes, if that makes sense. Like, you like to work out, so you enjoy the process of learning something and then working towards your goal. I was like, oh man, it's a checklist item for me. Like, I do love Kung Fu and I love how I feel when I do it. But more than that, I hate how I feel and the pain I feel when I don't do my exercises. So does this make me like miserable?
No, you're just an A-type personality. I guess. It sounds like that what is delightful for you is when you're able to completely shut off.
Yes.
So
I
working
think so.
towards something delightful for you means not working on anything.
I think so.
Okay. I think, hey, listen, you've defined what it means for you. So for anyone who's listening, try to define what that means for you, right? Is like, there are things that you can work on and just like work on it at a nice, easy pace. This is another concept from Cal Newport, slow productivity.
Yeah.
Which is this concept of you find something to do and you just chip away at it at an easy pace. Like you're never working too hard, but consistency, which we talk about a lot, is the key. And you just keep working on it. This could be whatever it is. Playing music, it could be martial arts, it doesn't have to be something physical. It could be reading a book, a long book. Whatever it is, you work on it slowly, but you try to enjoy that process. And at the end of that, you found, wow, I did something that was enjoyable, delightful maybe. And the end product, you look back and go, wow, that was really fun. And now I have this, whatever that is from it. It could be just the memories of it, or it could be a new skill that you learned.
I feel like one of the examples he had in the book, because it also kind of talks about mastery and those who create in that way, like Chris Nolan or something, only focuses on that, and it takes way longer than other people who like throw out movies like this. I think that was the example.
Yeah, but then he comes out with Oppenheimer.
Right,
and wins the Oscar. So, and I think he's also one of those guys who's like, I just don't have, I have to still have a flip phone. I think he's one of those type of
Yeah,
people.
so because I think the goal of that too is just like being able to tune out distraction. And speaking of the theme of like where we're talking about this holiday time, there's a lot of distraction. I think at the start of this, my kind of takeaway or what I want to kind of focus on is making sure I don't just throw away whatever brings delight or whatever goals I have or things that I'm working towards or trying to maintain just because it's the end of the year and there's a lot going on. I don't want to waste time, and relaxing isn't a waste of time, but I'm saying like that's exactly what I mean. I'm like, I want to make sure that I build in all the things that are necessary to keep me functioning so that I don't just table things and go, I'll do that in the new year. Because I feel that's very easy to do at this point of where we are in the calendar year.
Yeah, I agree with that. It's sort of like this terminology I probably use plenty of times, the pause button mentality, which is when someone was starting a nutrition coaching program, right? It's like, hey, you're going to commit to this for 3 months, for 90 days straight, or 6 months, or 1 year.
Yeah.
And then inevitably a few weeks down the line, hey, I need to hit pause on all of the stuff that I'm working on, and I'll get back in a couple of weeks. I just need to start doing this thing. The tendency to do that, I think, is very common, but unfortunately, it's not the best way to approach it. A much better thing to do is say, all right, I wasn't able to do this today. I'll just start again tomorrow. And tomorrow, if I'm not able to do it, okay, now I need to adjust what I consider a successful day of whatever it is that I'm trying to accomplish. So it's sort of like, I don't know why I thought of this analogy because I'm not a fast driver, but if you have to get from point A to point B and the best way to get there is in a straight line and driving fast is maybe when it's really busy, is just to go on cruise control and just be like, that's all I can handle right now. I don't have the mental capacity to be focused to weave in and out of lanes, but maybe I have the capacity to still slow down and just do what I can and be happy that I'm not going to get to that point by the end of the year, but I'm still going to be moving in that direction. That's something I struggle with a lot too, which is I didn't complete this as well as I did. All right, let me just start over. That didn't count what I just did. Even I think that way sometimes, and to my detriment. It would probably be a better idea to say, okay, I'm still moving in the right direction. I don't have to start from scratch. Let me just do what I can. That's okay. The idea that I love working out, it's almost like I love sometimes the way I feel afterwards. But even today, I was like, I'm going to work out just because that's on my list. And that's something that's almost non-negotiable for me. It's like I'm going to do it, but I don't know if I always look forward to it. Right?
I can say, oh man, and I think this surprises so many people that it is a true effort for me to get into the gym, even here, right? And I'm like, here's what I'm going to do today. Here's what I need to do. It's not like I'm going, yay, here I go. And I think it's hard when it's become something that's part of your life, and it's so interwoven with like my identity, but at the same time, it's like I'm tired and I don't want to physically go there, but that could be kind of the root problem, which is I'm doing too many things. And so I may enjoy it more if I'm able to have kind of more downtime or not have so many things on my plate and not put so many things on my plate, because there it is. I'm the one that's making those choices. And I think having that awareness of like, no, I'm doing this to myself. This is not like outside factors. And while, yes, there are outside factors, like taking accountability of like, no, but you always are making choices for yourself, and to hold yourself accountable instead of blaming other people, I think is key, because then you can start to go, well, then now I have control over said task list or things I need to do. If I'm making the choices, I'm deciding, then I also can make the decision to put my health first, or my mental health or physical health before all the other things.
Yeah, I think a lot of what we forget is that we all have a certain amount of capacity. Everything that you're able to do, physically, mentally, what are the other things, relationship-wise, everything that you're able to do fits into a certain amount of space. Let's call it a cup or whatever. My mental capacity is not as big as your mental capacity, but it doesn't matter. Your mental capacity is still at a certain limit. You don't have more than what you have. And so for anyone out there listening, you have to decide, well, what is it that I want to do? I used the word non-negotiable earlier, like I am going to work out. That's just what I'm going to do. But on the unfortunate side is sometimes that means that I put other things off till later. And what I've noticed a lot from you is like, no, everything that's on my list, I'm going to get done. And the order that you get things done in the past, I think this has changed recently, but in the past was I got all these things done. Now I've got to also work out. Oh my God, I'm exhausted. Well, you've met your capacity for everything that you had for the day, and then you're trying to add something else on top. And so we just can't. We can't do all of it. We have to find and prioritize and try to fit with fit with the space that we have. And I think I could probably do better with saying, well, I'm going to get these certain things done at a certain time. I've succeeded. I've done well when I do things like that, when I have a more organized calendar. As opposed to, today I woke up a little bit later than I normally do, but I'm still going to go work out. I probably should have gone to sleep a little earlier yesterday, woken up a little bit earlier today, would have had a little bit more time, would have had a little bit more energy. So I don't know. I think it's a struggle that we all have. Your point of what you are ultimately the one who makes up your own calendar and you're the one who prioritizes it. And so that whole taking accountability part, that's something I think we can all be reminded of.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. One thing that you said at the beginning was like, oh, you didn't meet any of your goals, but we kind of kidded around and high five, we're winning in life. But it is interesting because we know so many people, we've had so many family members and whatnot that have actually failed at relationships. And this, actually, the MiOsc thing is for real. It is probably the easiest thing in my existence that I have to combat with. There's no, it's weird because obviously you're my priority, but I don't even need to prioritize you because it's we're always kind of in sync and whatever we're doing always works. It's just we're kind of always moving in the same direction. Maybe because we work together, we live together, we have this whole routine of where we're constantly together. And in so many other areas of life, it's such a struggle. But in this area, people are wow, it's your 19th anniversary. You guys have known each other 25 years this year, right? Or no,
Since 96.
So
that's 29 years.
29 years. I feel my math really so bad.
Next year will be 30 years.
Yeah, 29 years. I think I wrote it wrong on my Instagram post.
Well, maybe that's when we became best friends.
But what I'm trying to say is this has been the easier part, right? And it's interesting because while it is my number one priority is what we have, our relationship, it's also something I don't need to put on the priority list because it is relatively it's relatively easy. I don't want to say that and make people uncomfortable.
It's a non-negotiable. I agree. It's the same with me. You're a non-negotiable. So you're the priority. Mm-hmm. It's almost, and it's funny because we've made it this way. We're so great. Anyway, we've made it this way where it's right. I don't have to think about it. Mm-hmm. It just is what it is. It is what it is. And everybody who knows me should know that. Right? There's that. Okay, that's out of the way. That's just how I exist in life.
Right.
Now my priority is this, and this.
Right, yeah. It's very interesting because obviously if I had to list my priorities, we did this exercise on the cruise where we were our,
Dunbar number
and all of that. And of course in the top 5, we're number 1 to one another. But at the same time, it's even though we often are putting those 2, 3, 4 other people in terms of their needs, my family, and there's a lot of needs there, but we're still able to constantly prioritize one another without the effort that it seems to take with every other aspect of my life. I think that's what I've been trying to say.
Okay, can you repeat it now?
You are my number one priority, yet I don't have to put conscious effort into prioritizing you in the way I have to do with all the other things that I feel like I need to prioritize. and put effort in my life, if that makes sense.
That makes sense. Feels that way for me. I mean, I got pancakes this morning. So that was awesome. But I think if anything, right, it's not just like our relationship is great, but I think the important thing to take from it is you're going to have certain relationships, right? It could be your husband or your wife, or it could be your mom or it could be your kid, or it could be just your best friend, right? Unless you're completely alone, right? So then you have to figure out, well, you have to kind of define it. So I think what we've done is it's already been defined. So we don't have, now that it's been defined and it is what it is, we don't have to really think about it too much. It's going on autopilot. And so for other people, maybe they need to figure out what that is and then decide if it's going to be a priority or not, right?
We're not here to give relationship advice or anything like that. We're just saying whatever works for us is working.
You got to figure that out.
But I find it fascinating, like, if you have things in your life that are truly important, should it be that much of an effort and difficult? Like, or should it feel more effortless because, I don't know, I only have this to compare, but I guess it's just not.
I think we talked about this before, oranges, right? As far as like, how often do you guys quarrel? And I don't know if we talked about this before, but I was like, I argue with Mimi all the time, but it's in my head and it's usually for like 2 seconds. Right? Did we talked about that before?
I don't know if we talked about it here, but we've talked about it because we read a book or heard a podcast where someone's like, oh yeah, I had an argument with my wife while I was mowing the lawn. And then by the time I came in, it was like, why would I even bring that up or argue about it?
I think it was the guy who did the story.
Matthew Dix?
Yeah,
I think it was Matthew Dix as well, the storytelling podcast.
Yeah, so he talked about, I argued
the art of storytelling.
My wife asked me, because he lives up in the New England area, and I guess something in that cold weather environment, when the summer comes around, they've got to install the AC units. And so this is what I'm from my recollection. He's like, I've got to install the AC units. And he goes, man, I argued with her about it the whole time, but it was just all in my head. And I remember going, okay, I don't ever argue with you for a long time, but if ever I feel like something's happening, it's usually in my head, and I'm like, nah, it's not even worth bringing up. like just move on. I think the most, it's all relationship today. The most that we ever talk about.
Well, it was our anniversary, so
the most we ever do
people
is you or I will go, yeah, I think you were wrong there. Maybe that you took it a little bit. Maybe you pushed that a little too far. Just, and then that's usually enough to make me reflect. And another thing I heard recently was the criticism you get that stings the most. It stings the most because it's probably
true,
accurate and true. Mm-hmm. Yeah. And depending on who gives it to you, you may react differently. So if you give me something as a criticism, it's not that I'm like, oh, gee, thanks. Thank you for the feedback.
May
yum.
have another.
May have another. It still sucks to be criticized is a harsh word, to be like, hey, this is just something that I observed.
Constructive feedback.
Yeah, to be given feedback. But because I know who you are, I'm like, all right, let me.
So I guess here's a question, because you and I have an interesting relationship dynamic, because there is, of course, you and I as partners and we're married. But then on the other hand, there's like Sifu Mimi at the temple mode. And for example, if you're in class, or if I'm doing an instructor workshop and you're not helping co-host it, but you're like in it, does the feedback that comes to you when I'm in Sifu Mimi mode, is that received differently than like household?
I don't think so. You can't think of one that happened recently, I guess.
I mean, it's equally as like uncomfortable for a second, and then you kind of ease into things.
I think anybody, when you receive feedback, man, you know who takes feedback really well, because we've trained them, is our kids who teach classes, our assistant instructors. So like, I think they do better than the adults and better than me. Like from feedback that I've heard them give and receive.
Like our teens and stuff.
Teens who are assistant instructors, because I think we've built that culture, so they're getting it at a younger time.
Yeah.
What we've all gotten in our generation is, shut up, stupid, or a smack in the head, or but it's not it wasn't always constructive feedback. We've gotten feedback for sure, But I think we've trained our younger generation of assistant instructors at the temple to really receive it well. So much so that I think that if I were to receive it the same way, even though I know and I was helping and training them on how to receive and give constructive feedback, I think it still hurts me more. Because I didn't grow up that way.
That's so interesting because I don't think Oscar can be hurt.
Well, yeah, hurt is a wrong thing. You know what it is? It's sort of like something I will say that maybe it's a benefit, maybe it's a flaw of mine, is that it hurts just as bad, but for me, it's always for such a short time. Mm-hmm. You know what I mean? Like, I think people linger and it just like...
That's true. Even if you're affected, it's like immediately actually does dissipate with you.
I'm able to dissipate things.
And I am a dweller.
Relatively
dweller
quickly.
of all things. But okay, so essentially though, I think that, in conclusion, I just wanted to let everybody know we're all in the same boat with the crazy madness of the holidays and everybody copes in their own way, and just kind of wanted to give you a little bit of a window of where we're at and what's been kind of going on in our world. But
awesome.
Love to hear from you guys. And sorry this is a short one, but we wanted to just make sure we got another episode out before Thanksgiving. So happy holidays all.
Happy holidays.
That's all for today's episode. Thanks for listening to The Sifu Mimi Chan Show. Please subscribe and rate my podcast on your platform of choice and leave a review. You can become a patron of the show at patreon.com/SifuMimiChan to help keep this podcast going. Follow me and interact on social media at Sifu Mimi Chan on Instagram or Facebook.